Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् Hari Om, Namaste. Today we start chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. We finished chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, and with the completion of chapter 6, one particular topic is complete. If we zoom out onto the landscape of the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is divided into 3 sections of 6, 6 and 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters, the middle 6 chapters, and the last 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters in 3 sections, Bhagavan Shri Krishna takes the Vedic aphorism Tat Tvam Asi. And in the first 6 chapters, Bhagavan addresses Arjuna's identity. And that identity is Tvam, thou. Who are you? What is your identity? The first chapter being Arjuna Vishad Yog, the despondency of Arjuna. Bhagavan felt necessary to address to Arjuna about his own identity. So Bhagavan explored the topic of Jiva. And Bhagavan, first in the first few shlokas of chapter 2, from 11 to 28, something like that, Bhagavan discusses something known as Jiva Swarupam, the nature of the embodied soul. And then Bhagavan talks about the second topic in chapters 3, 4, and 5. It is known as Jiva Prayatna, the effort that the Jiva has to make. And the effort is known as Karma Yoga. So Jiva Swarupa, Jiva Prayatna, and the Jiva Prayatna, individual effort, Bhagavan said that if you will explore this effort on this fertile field of Karma Yoga, Arjuna, you will then be able to gain a little bit of an understanding of your identity. Thus, the topic of Jiva Swarupa, Jiva Prayatna, and Jiva Prayatna as Karma Yoga, Bhagavan talks about in the first 6 chapters. Then the first 6 chapters end with the integration of Jiva Swarupa with Jiva Prayatna. When Prayatna, effort is there on Karma Yoga, to that extent the mind becomes calm, the intellect becomes more resolved, and the Jiva is able to take on to a unique flight, and this internal flight is referred to as meditation. And this is how the Jiva metamorphoses itself from Jiva Swarupa to its Nija Swarupa. And Nija Swarupa is none other than Absolute. So this unique sadhana of meditation was introduced at the end of the first third of Bhagavad Gita. And this is how Bhagavan addresses something known as Tvam Pada in Tat Tvam Asi. Now, from chapters 7 up to chapter 12, Bhagavan takes up the topic of Tat, that. And Bhagavan takes this topic as that Ishvara, that Paramatma. So Bhagavan will talk about now what are the topics over here. So the first 6 chapters, Jiva Swarupa, Jiva Prayatna, Karma Yoga, and this, when it is done, it will take Jiva towards the inner yatra of meditation. Now comes the second section, and in the second section, the topic is Ishvara Swarupa. What is the nature of Paramatma? And in the first 6 chapters, the effort, self-effort of Jiva is extolled by Bhagavan. Bhagavan stresses the importance of the embodied soul's prayatna, effort, self-effort. So over here, if the Jiva does self-effort, then in the Ishwar section, the middle 6 chapters, the second section, Ishwar Anugraha, the blessings of Ishvara is now the subject matter. Only when the Jiva, when the embodied soul puts forth effort, will Bhagavan bless such a person. So, Ishwar Anugraha is the second topic Bhagavan picks up in the middle 6 chapters. And then the third section, over in the first 6 chapters, Karma Yoga was the sadhana, along with the termination of Karma Yoga, or the culmination of Karma Yoga into meditation. So over here, it is, the third topic is Upasana. Upasana is nothing but meditation on Saguna Ishwar, which leads to Nirguna Swarup Chintanam. So, the 3 topics Bhagavan will pick from 7th chapter onwards is Ishwar Swarupa, Ishwar Anugraha, and Ishwar Upasana. These 3 topics is what we will see in chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This particular chapter, Bhagavan takes Ishwar Swarupa, and Bhagavan will discuss Ishwar Swarupa in two facets. One is the Saguna Swarup of Ishvara, and the second is the Nirguna Swarup of Ishvara. I may be speaking a lot of Sanskritam and dividing into topics and this and that. I'm trying to make it easy for people to have a bird's eye view. So I'm consciously repeating a lot of these things. So now in 7th chapter, two topics we will see, and Bhagavan will refer to these two topics in this chapter as none other than Jnana Vijnan, because that is the topic of this chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So when Bhagavan talks about Jnanam, he will talk about as Swarup Saguna Jnanam. Saguna meaning along with the gunas. When we live in this pluralistic world, the pluralistic world presents itself to us in variety. If we just take plant kingdom, we have varieties of plants. Within the plant kingdom, there is just fruits. Oh ho ho ho. So many fruits. Then edible fruits, sweet fruits, sour fruits. It just goes on and on. Even if we go to a tropical forest, the sheer variety in 1 square mile in a tropical forest of vegetation is mind-boggling. Then what to talk about all other types, the animal kingdom, the bacteria which cannot be even seen with naked eyes. So the variety and in the pluralistic world is there because of something known as gunas. The guna of Prakriti affects the 5 elemental created elemental world. The Panchamahabhut, the 5 great elements, have created this variety. So Bhagavan will talk about the elemental world as Jnanam, the variety, and it is known as Saguna Ishwar Swarupa. It is a Swarupa of Bhagavan in his manifested form as the Saguna Swarupa. The second topic is none other than Vijnanam. Jnanam is of none other than Saguna. Now Vijnanam is Nirguna Jnanam, devoid of all types of variety. The unity behind the pluralistic world is what Bhagavan presents as Vijnan. Excuse me. That is the second topic. which Bhagavan will pick up in this 7th chapter. Bhagavan refers to the two topics as two types of prakritis. One is para prakriti and the other one is apara prakriti. And in this way, we will see this chapter. We will go ahead and start. I have a lot of things in introduction, but I think we will, as we go, I will discuss this chapter. अथ सप्तमोऽध्यायः ज्ञान विज्ञान योगः श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमनाः पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं माम् यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमनाः पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं माम् यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु. So now Bhagavan is picking up the 7th chapter. So in 7th chapter, Bhagavan says, He Partha, Mai Asakta Manaha Mad Ashrayaha Yogam Yunjan. So I chanted it, I reworded it in a prose form. So, He Partha, I added He, Sambodhan, He Arjuna. Bhagavan says, Mai Asakta Manaha. Mai Asakta Manaha, Mai, in me. And in me, Bhagavan is referring to him not as Krishna, the charioteer, or Vasudeva Devaki Putra Krishna. Bhagavan is referring to him as the absolute Lord of the universe. That's why a capital me. In me, Bhagavan is saying, Mai Asakta Manaha, this mind which is intended on me. The mind which is taking refuge in me, the mind which is arrived to me, the mind which is taking delight in me, the mind which is drawn towards me. You can add all these things. Now that after having understood in a very simple way the first 6 chapters, and upon the practice of karma yoga, and upon questioning our own presence in this world, which leads us to the identity of ours. Now this mind is fascinated. Who am I? So quietly it does its job. It doesn't complain. The basics of karma yoga as Ishwar Arpana Buddhi. I am just doing this as an offering to Bhagavan. And Ishwar Prasad Buddhi. Whatever troubles come in my life, now I'm not agitated by my troubles. I'm not disturbed by them. Okay, maybe I get agitated a little bit, but then I get a hold of myself. No, I should not. If this problem has arrived, Ishwar has put it on my plate for a reason. Let me do my best to address it. So that type of maturity has arrived. And that is called Mai Asakta Manaha. Instead of hating world, hating our own destiny, getting mad at Bhagavan, getting mad at people, now we look at whatever is part of our destiny, whatever is part of our plate in life, and we have somehow brought ourselves to take a look at it. Initially, we would be all frowny face and upset and BP going high and everything. Now, okay, yeah, let me breathe. Let me address. What does Ishwar want me to do over here? What do I have to learn from this? This is the maturity which has arrived from the first 6 chapters, and that is why Bhagavan starts with this as Mai Asakta Manaha. Over here, keeping God as the goal. Keeping him in mind, we take the best foot forward. So, he Partha, Mai Asakta Manaha, Mad Ashrayaha. Now, not only you have brought your mind to me, but taking refuge in me with a firm belief. And because you have brought your belief and faith on the table, I am going to bless that faith of yours by my blessings, and my anugraha is mad ashrayaha. You have taken ashray in the right place. So first, your self-effort has brought you to the table of life. Now, my effort is to recognize you, Jiva, you have done your part. Now I will do my part. I will bless you. So, Madashrayaha, Yogam Yunjan, you continue to live your life onto a journey of self-evolution. So, taking refuge in me, you, Arjuna, are participating in your life. Asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnasyasi tachrunu. Bhagavan says, now asamshayam, without doubt, samagram mam jnasyasi. Now you come to know me. Without any doubt, without any hang-ups, without having any internal hang-ups, now that you have a belief in me and my blessings are with you, let me tell you something. Bhagavan is saying, yatha jnasyasi, as I am about to tell you, you come to know. You come to know what I'm about to share with you. Tat shrunu, that you listen to very carefully, is what this first shloka, the introduction is mentioned over here. Arjuna, having surrendered to me, having a life surrendered to self-effort and bringing your belief along with it and your faith along with it, now I add to that pot my blessings. Now I shall take you on to a unique journey to show you who I am. Come to listen to who I am, is what Bhagavan is saying. The second shloka. Second shloka says, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyamya sheshataha yajñatva neha bhuyonyat jnatavyam avashishyate. Bhagavan says, Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshataha. Bhagavan is saying over here, hey Arjuna, idam, this, jnanam, knowledge, sa vijnanam, along with vijnan, te aham vakshyami asheshataha. I am going to reveal to you knowledge and wisdom along with it. Typically, when we go to a university to learn something, any topic, and the professor talks about the subject matter, it may be chemistry, and the professor in the university gives a beautiful discourse on the subject matter chemistry. So he has revealed Jnanam, but the professor cannot reveal Vijnanam. That he will keep it for final exam to see how much we have learned. Because he will go beyond his lectures to see how much the student is capable of applying and coming up with deductive reasoning to apply in other facets of chemistry. That is left up to us. And that Vijnanam, which the student produces onto exam, if the student shows real interest in it, the professor will then approach the student and say, hey, have you considered master's or a PhD in chemistry? Now the professor is recruiting a PhD student because realizes that there is a potential for increasing the boundaries of the field of chemistry because this person has really gotten the fundas and the boundaries of this subject matter needs to be expanded in the upcoming decades. So there is no limit to Vijnanam in Bhautik Jnanam. That's why each university is filled with R&D, R&D, R&D. This little human body, and it just amazes me how complex the hospitals are. The departments and what all research still goes on. I just found out the other day, I thought that whole MD Anderson was a hospital. Only few floors are hospital. Most of it is just R&D. I didn't realize that so much research goes on this just one ability of this body to mutate cells and create some biochemistry which is self-destructive. So we have not yet reached the Seema of Vijnan in Bhautik Jnanam. It goes on and on and on. But in Adhyatma Shastra, it culminates, in fact, it converges into pure crystallized wisdom, and there is nothing beyond it. And because there is nothing beyond it, Bhagwan makes a daring audacity and says, I will give you that. I will give you knowledge, and I will give you the culmination of that knowledge. How do we know that it's a culmination of knowledge? The second line verifies it. It says, Yad Jnatva, having known this, Yad Jnatva, na iha bhuyaha anyat Jnatavyam avashishyate. Over here, upon knowing this, there is nothing more to know anymore. That means the seema, the boundary has been reached of knowledge, and that boundary is Vijnan. And that Vijnan, I shall deliver it to you, is what Bhagavan has declared over here, that I will tell you what is knowledge and what is jnanam, knowledge, and what is vijnanam, wisdom, which is the topic of this chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga Saptamodhyaya, 7th chapter, Jnana and Vijnana. Now, we have to understand a little bit of the background. Bhagavan has talked about two things, Jnana and Vijnana. So, Jnana and Vijnana, Bhagavan, Bhagavan refers to these as para prakriti and apara prakriti. Bhagavan refers to Jnanam as para prakriti. It comes later on. We will see that. These are Bhagavan's words from this chapter itself. And then the next one is apara prakriti. So let us understand what is para prakriti and what is apara prakriti. Just in a very simple language, I want to talk about what Bhagavan means by Jnanam and Vijnana. So when he talks about knowledge, he's referring to that as apara prakriti. Apara prakriti, it is known as lower. And when he's talking about Vijnan, wisdom, he's talking about something known as para prakriti, higher. Now, what are the difference between these two? We will see them. The first difference between these two is apara is jada. It is insentient. And para is chetan. It is conscious. First, one is insentient. Apara prakriti, the lower prakriti, is insentient, and para prakriti is sentient. It is chetana. Second one is the lower apara. It is saguna. It is along with the qualities. When we talk about gunas, it means sattva, rajas, and tamas mixed up with the five great elements. The five great elements add mixture of which creates forms, and these forms are programmed by the climatic conditions set by the guna, and that guna is the sattva, rajas, tamas, and it makes apara prakriti saguna. And the higher prakriti, it is nirguna. It is devoid of any types of guna, and thus it is referred to as Shuddha Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva. It is beyond the Malina Sattva of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So the second one is Saguna, the other one is Nirguna. The third difference. One is Apara Prakriti is known as Savikar. It modifies. It is continuously changing. And the higher one, Para, it is Nirvikar. It is changeless. The lower one changes, Savikar. The higher one is changeless, Nirvikar. Then, because it is changing, that change requires it to be dependent. And the higher one, the Para Prakriti, because it is not modifying, it is not changing, it has its own existence. It requires no borrowed existence to exist. So the Apara, the lower one, is called Mithya Adhishthanam. And the other one is called Satya. It is absolute, and absolute is ever existing, but the other one requires, it has to borrow its existence from Satya, and thus it is known as Mithya. It is false, as though real, but it is not real, because the real is absolute, it remains, but this real is temporary because it is continuously changing. So Mithya existence, and the other one is Sat existence. The existence is absolute, and the lower Prakriti, it is dependent existence, known as Mithyatva Jagat, in that way. Then the other difference is the lower Prakriti, Apara Prakriti, is Savikalpaka, and the higher Prakriti is nirvikalpaka. Savikalpaka, meaning it is bound by time and space. Vikalpa, the distinction of time. And the time is what continuously changes. And as it changes, the gunas change. As the gunas change, it will modify. As it modifies, it will also eventually perish. So all this is part of lower Prakriti. It is called Savikalpaka. It exists in parts. And the parts are all in time and space. Versus the higher Prakriti, it is Nirvikalpaka. It is beyond. It has one homogeneous existence. And in this way, Bhagavan is talking about these in a very simple way, Jnanam and Vijnanam. What he's referring to as Vijnanam is none other than absolute, the higher. And the absolute has to be known. And it has to be not just known, but owned. It is me. And the lower, the world of multiplicity, Bhagavan will explain what this multiplicity is, the Saguna Swarup, and Bhagavan says both of these are me. And that is the uniqueness of this chapter, that even the Jada Prakriti, Bhagavan refers to that as his Swarup. So if he refers to that as his Swarup, what should be our transaction is what Bhagavan is aiming towards in this chapter. Now, when we talk about this higher and lower, as apara and para, as what Bhagavan refers to as Jnanam and Vijnanam, I'm taking time to speak all these topics because this is the highest part of Vedanta. This is what confuses a lot of people. Now, when we say as Jnanam, as apara Prakriti, as the lower, and the lower as manifested, that manifested world is very tangible world. Now, when we look at the apara Prakriti, when we look at para Prakriti, when we are looking at the higher, what people often don't realize is that higher also has two parts to it. And this is what confuses a lot of people. In English, the lower can be referred to as the manifested creation, and the higher can be referred to as the unmanifest. But the unmanifest also has two parts to it. One is known as absolute unmanifest, which never, ever manifests. And the other one is unmanifest, but in due time, it will manifest. And this is what confuses a lot of people. So when we look at the higher Prakriti as the unmanifest, and we just saw it is Chetan, it is conscious. And in there, we have absolute unmanifest, and that absolute unmanifest is referred to as Brahman. Okay, in Vedanta, the absolute unmanifest, which never, ever manifests, is referred to as Brahman. But that Brahman has some incredible power. And that Brahman is wedded to that power, is what Gurudev used to say, or the Brahman and its power are inseparable. And that power of Brahman, which is also unmanifest, but that power is capable of manifesting, and that is referred to as Maya Shakti. Okay. So now we have three Brahman, because Bhagavan is referring to all of them as me. So if Bhagavan is referring to all three of them as me, so there's three Brahman. This is how this three Brahman come in. Now I will explain. The first Brahman, which is absolute unmanifest, which never, ever manifests, is referred to as Shuddha Brahma. Shuddha Brahman, not Brahma. Then it becomes Brahmaji, it's different. Shuddha Brahman. So Bhagavan will also discuss its Swarup. Shuddha Brahman, its Swarup. Then the second one is known as Karana Brahman. As Maya, she is none other than Karan Brahman, because she becomes the cause of manifest. Because whatever is manifested comes only from unmanifest. The tree can never ever come out without a seed, isn't it? So that unmanifest Brahman, which in due time manifests, is the seed. And that seed is referred to as Maya. And that seed of Brahman is Shakti. And this Maya and Brahman are inseparable. They are both beginningless. So we have Shuddha Brahman, then Karana Brahman, and the manifested world known as Apara Prakriti is known as Karya Brahman. This is the effect. I hope this much is clear. Okay. If this much is clear, then we will be able to progress. I have summarized Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, and Vivek Chudamani in these two shlokas. Now we will see what the distinction is starting next week. This is the background required to unfold this chapter. Okay. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।